The number one reason leaders need to be in a mastermind group is because too many leaders do life alone and then they implode. They think they can handle it and they can maybe handle it for a season. But eventually their life and leadership will implode and they'll say, I wish I would have had a place where I was fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged, and this wouldn't have happened. Hey, podcast family, and welcome to episode number 285 of the L3 Leadership Podcast, where we are obsessed with helping you grow to your maximum potential and to maximize the impact of your leadership. My name is Doug Smith, and I am your host, and today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Bare Tongue Advisors. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I am so glad that you're here, and I hope you'll enjoy our content and become a subscriber. And if you've been listening to us for a while, thank you so much for that. And just make sure that you've hit the subscribe button on whatever app you listen to podcasts through. And also, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a rating and review for the podcast on whatever app you listen to this through. That really does help us grow our audience and reach more leaders. So thank you in advance for that. Well, in today's episode, you'll hear me share about the power of mastermind groups. And this is a subject I teach on at least once a year here on the podcast because we at L3 Leadership believe that every leader needs to be in a mastermind group. Why, you may ask? Well, you'll find out in this episode, and you'll also learn what your life could look like after being in a mastermind group for at least 1 year. That being said, I do want to let you know that we're currently hiring for a director of mastermind groups. I'm looking for someone who's able to lead and scale our mastermind groups. Specifically, the position would involve recruiting and training new mastermind facilitators, recruiting for and filling mastermind groups, and providing ongoing training for our facilitators. This is an hourly position with an opportunity to make commission as well. So if you are interested or you know someone that would be a good fit for that, please email me at dougsmith@l3leadership.org. Again, that's Doug Smith at l3leadership.org. And before we get into the episode, just a few announcements. This episode of the L3 Leadership Podcast is sponsored by my friends at Bare Tongue Advisors. The financial advisors at Bare Tongue Advisors help educate and empower clients to make informed financial decisions. You can find out how Bare Tongue Advisors can help you develop a customized financial plan for your financial future by visiting their website at baretongueadvisors.com. That's BERATUNG advisors.com. Securities and investment products and services offered through Waddell & Reed, Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Bare Tongue Advisors, Waddell & Reed, and L3 Leadership are separate entities. I also want to thank our sponsor, Henny Jewelers. They're a jeweler owned by my friend and mentor, John Henny. My wife, Laura, and I got our engagement and wedding rings at Henny Jewelers and had a wonderful experience. And not only do they have great jewelry, but they also invest in people. In fact, every couple that gets their engagement rings through Henny Jewelers, they give a book to help them prepare for marriage, and we just love that about them. So if you're in need of a good jeweler, go to hennyjewelers.com. And with all that being said, let's dive right into the lesson. Here's my lesson on what your life could look like after being in a mastermind group. Hey leader, today I'd like to talk to you on the subject, what your life could look like after being in a mastermind group. And we here at L3 Leadership believe that every leader needs to be in a mastermind group. And by the end of this lesson, I'll be sharing with you what mastermind groups are, why you need to be in them, and what your life could look like after being in a mastermind group for at least 1 year. But before I dive into that content, I wanted to just simply revisit who we are as an organization and what we do. We here at L3 Leadership exist to gather, connect, and develop leaders. We exist to gather, connect, and develop leaders. In fact, we are obsessed with helping leaders grow to their maximum potential and to maximize the impact of their leadership. You hear me say it every single podcast. Why? Because we believe if we gather and connect and develop leaders over a long period of time, if we teach them not to do life alone, if we get them plugged into mastermind groups, if we get them living intentionally, that we could change our world for the better. And that's why we wake up and go to work every single day. We gather, connect, and develop leaders. How do we do that? 4 different things. 1, we have this podcast. So again, we want to consistently come into your life and add value to you and help you grow as a leader by exposing you to great leadership content and great leaders that I have conversations with. 2 is mastermind groups, which you'll be hearing about all today, but we believe every leader needs to be in one. 3, here locally in our city in Pittsburgh, we partner with an organization called the Pittsburgh Leadership Foundation, and we do something called Leaders Collaboratives. And so that program is a 3-month leadership development program where we elevate the effectiveness of leaders in our city. And then the fourth thing we do is our L3 one-day leadership conference. This is our annual gathering that helps leaders grow their leadership, their network, and their future. And if you've been to L3 one day or you were interested, just to let you know, we've officially rescheduled our 2020 conference due to COVID, and we will be having our conference on April 1st, 2022 at Allison Park here in Pittsburgh. And so we're so excited for that. There will be tickets available, so jump on our email list and look for details on social media as we release those very, very soon. But I hope to see you at our conference. But those are the things we do to gather, connect, and develop leaders. So specifically today, I'd like to talk to you about mastermind groups. One of our core values here at L3 Leadership is community. We believe that we were never meant to do life or leadership alone, but in community. And so how we do that is we get leaders plugged in to mastermind groups. Now, if you're unfamiliar with mastermind groups, how I learned about them was through a book called Think and Grow Rich. You may have read this. But if you haven't, let me just give you some context. There was a guy named Napoleon Hill who Andrew Carnegie hired to study the top, most influential, wealthiest leaders of their era. And he did that for 25 years. Not 25 minutes, not a month or two, 25 years he studied these leaders. And he was looking for common traits that made them successful. And then he wrote the book based on what he found, Think and Grow Rich. And one of the things that he identified in everyone that he interviewed and everyone that he studied was they were all in what he called a mastermind alliance. We would call it a mastermind group. And they were groups of leaders that got together on a consistent basis to hold each other accountable, to help each other grow, and to do life together. It was a common factor in every single person that he studied. And so when I read that, I looked around in my life and I realized that I don't have that in my life. And so I started going to different networking groups and I tried different things, and I never quite found a group that did it for me, that really helped me grow and really felt like I was doing life in community. And so that's why when we launched L3 Leadership, I said one of the things we want to do is create mastermind groups so leaders can experience community. And in 2014, we launched our first L3 Leadership Mastermind Group, and we've been launching and running groups ever since. I can't believe it's been 7 years. And I personally have been in a mastermind group that entire length of time. And I tell people this all the time, but being in a mastermind group has been the greatest source of growth in my life personally. You know, to know that I have a consistent group of leaders around me that are going to help me grow to my maximum potential, hold me accountable, and to do life with me has been absolutely priceless. So now that you know what mastermind groups are, let me tell you a little bit about our mastermind groups here at L3 Leadership, the vision behind them, why you need to be in one, and what your life could be like after being in one of our mastermind groups. Our mastermind groups are made up of 6 to 12 leaders that meet twice a month for at least 1 year. And again, the purpose is to hold each other accountable, to challenge each other to grow, and to do life together. That's what our mastermind groups look like. The vision for our mastermind groups is this. We want to have every leader that we influence through mastermind groups to be fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged. I'll say that again because this is everything to us. We want to have every leader that we influence through mastermind groups to be fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged. Fully known, what does that mean? We want you to have a place that you can truly be yourself at, that you can be authentic and real and let the mask down and actually share what you're going through on a consistent basis and know that you can be fully known, fully yourself in a group. 2, we want you to be fully loved. If you're going to take off the mask, if you're going to share vulnerably, we want you to know that you will be fully loved by the people in your mastermind group. They will love you and they will walk you through the highs and the lows of your life. And then lastly, fully challenged. We don't just want you known. We don't just want you loved. We want you challenged to grow. Sometimes, I think about me and my mastermind group. Sometimes I wanted a pat on the back and a hug, and instead I got a slap in the face. But what I needed to grow was a slap in the face. And that's the fully challenged part. We need to be challenged to grow through some of the things that we go through in our lives. And a mastermind group will help you do that. So that's the vision. We want our mastermind group leaders to be fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged. And leader, let me just ask you this. Do you have a place in your life and in your leadership journey where you're fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged? And if you can't answer yes to that question, then that is the number one reason why you need to be in a mastermind group. The number one reason leaders need to be in a mastermind group is because too many leaders do life alone and then they implode. They think they can handle it and they can maybe handle it for a season. But eventually their life in leadership will implode and they'll say, I wish I would have had a place where I was fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged, and this wouldn't have happened. Leader, don't wait any longer. Start being intentional. Seek that community out. Why else should you join a mastermind group? Because I believe you as a leader are one idea and one connection away from changing your destiny. And when you find yourself in a mastermind group, you're all of a sudden surrounded by 6 to 12 other leaders and all of their experience, everything that they know, all of their wisdom, and all of their connections. And who knows, they could have the one idea that changes your life. They could connect you with one person that changes your life and leadership forever. You are one idea and one connection away from changing your destiny. The third reason you need to join a mastermind group is you have no idea what will be set into motion when you join a group like this. You have no idea what will be set into motion. When we first started mastermind groups, I thought that, there'd be a few people that get promoted and maybe grow in their job. But what I've seen over the past 7 years, I've seen babies get adopted. I've seen marriages restored. I've seen businesses get started. It's been incredible what has been set into motion when leaders just intentionally gather and connect and develop each other. It's huge. You have no idea what will be set into motion when you join a group. And then lastly, the fourth reason I tell people why to join a group is sometimes it's not the lesson that you need, but it's the lives of a leader that you need. And let me just talk more about that. We live in a world where you can literally get access to all the information in the world. You can have the best leadership lessons on YouTube, on podcasts, etc. But that does not replace catching leadership when you're around the lives of great leaders. And I never want you to mistake that. Don't think that a conference or a classroom can ever replace a consistent, ongoing relationship with people who fully know you, fully love you, and fully challenge you. It can't. Sometimes it's not the lesson that you need, it's the lives of leaders that you need. And so I hope that that's compelling enough to get you interested in joining or launching a group. But if it's not, let me just tell you a little bit about what your life could look like after being in one of our mastermind groups here at L3 Leadership. We've already talked about this, but it bears repetition, that after a year of being in a mastermind group, you will have a place where you are fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged. And that is absolutely priceless. The second thing you'll have in your life after being in a mastermind group is you will be living a lot more intentionally. And just here's a simple list of things that we built into the curriculum to make sure that you're living intentionally. You'll develop a life plan, so you actually have a plan for where you're going in every area of your life. You'll learn how to set goals and review them on a quarterly basis and plan for the next quarter, and that's a practice that you should implement for the rest of your life. You'll learn how to journal, which could transform your life. You'll learn how to do year-end reviews. You'll learn your purpose. You'll become more self-aware. You'll prioritize your family over work. You'll become a better leader. You'll become bigger on the inside than you are on the outside. That's a character issue. And you'll be multiplying your leadership. And at the end of the year, we hope that you'll be transformed and that you'll actually have a story to tell about the transformation that occurred in your life as a result of being in a mastermind group. And then lastly, after a year of being in one of our mastermind groups, we want you to never, ever be able to imagine your life before or without a mastermind group, that you have to be in one because you see how valuable that they are. And so I hope that you learned a little bit about what mastermind groups are, why you should be one, and what your life could look like after being in one of our mastermind groups for a year. And if you're now interested in either joining or launching your own L3 Leadership Mastermind group, you can simply go to our website at l3leadership.org/masterminds to learn more about both of those opportunities. And as always, you can email me at dougsmith@l3leadership.org. And leader, as we close, let me just challenge you with this. You were never meant to do life or leadership alone. You were meant to do both of those things in community. And if you don't have that in your life right now, do everything you can to find it. And maybe that's through joining or launching one of our mastermind groups, or maybe it isn't. But whatever it is, don't let another day go by without seeking out a community in which you are fully known, fully loved, and fully challenged. And if you do, I promise you, it'll transform your life and leadership forever. And you'll never do life and leadership alone again. Thanks for listening. Well, hey, leader, thank you so much for listening to my lesson on what your life could look like after being in a mastermind group. Again, if you're interested in launching or joining an L3 Mastermind, you can get more information on both of those opportunities at l3leadership.org/masterminds. As always, I like to end with a quote, and I'll quote Joe Brooks today. He simply said this: "Success is what we do for others. Significance is what you do for others." I hope that this lesson encouraged you and challenged you, and just know that Laura and I love you. We appreciate you. We believe in you. Don't quit. Keep leading. Keep making a difference, and we'll talk to you next episode.